Classification of materials on the basis of resistivity rho at 0 degree Celsius. The metals, semiconductors and insulator. Metals first. Metals have low resistivity in the range of 10 raised to power minus 8 ohm meter to 10 raised to minus 6 ohm meter. For an example, copper has the resistivity 1.7 into 10 raised to minus 8 ohm meter. Silver has 1.6, almost same, into 10 raised to minus 8 ohm meter. Mercury has 0.98 into 10 raised to minus 6 ohms. Nichrome has 10 raised to minus 6 ohm meter. That is an alloy. Nichrome is an alloy of nickel, iron and chromium. Manganese also an alloy, has 0.48 into 10 raised to minus 6 ohm into meter. In the semiconductors, the resistivity of semiconductors is more than metals and less than insulator. Less than insulators and more than metals. For example, carbon or graphite has the resistivity 3.5 into 10 raised to minus 5 ohm meter. Germanium Ge has 0.4 ohm into meter. Silicon Si has, these are semiconductors, to 0.23 into 10 raised to 4 ohm meter. Correct. Insulators, resistivity rho of insulator is 10 raised to 18 power 18 times greater than the metals or more, even more than that. Examples are ceramic, rubber, hard rubber, plastic, etc. Rho for pure water is, that is resistivity of pure water is 2.5 into 10 raised to power 5 ohm into meter. Glass has 10 raised to power 10 to 10 raised to power 14, depends upon the quality of glass, ohm into meter. Hard rubber has more than that, that is 10 raised to 13 to the 10 raised to power 16 ohm meter. Now, effect of temperature on resistivity in the case of metals. Over a limited range of temperature that is not too large, the resistivity increases with rise in temperature. If rho 0 is the resistivity at T0 temperature and rho T is the resistivity of the metal piece at T degrees Celsius, the resistivity of metal at T degrees temperature is given by the equation rho T is equal to rho 0, that is resistivity at 0 degree into bracket 1 plus alpha into bracket T minus T0, temperature difference, or alpha is equal to rho T minus rho 0 upon rho 0 T minus T0. Alpha is the temperature coefficient of resistivity and it is defined as, if rho 0 is 1 and T minus T0 is 1, then rho T minus rho 0 will be equal to alpha. Correct? That is, it is defined as the increase in the resistivity delta rho T minus rho 0 per unit resistivity, rho 0 is 1, per unit rise in temperature. That is, if this is 1, T minus T0 is 1, rho 0 is 1, then alpha is equal to this. That is the increase in the resistivity per unit rise in temperature. The unit is unit of resistivity and resistivity will cancel, so only per degree Celsius or correct. Similarly, the resistance also of the metal increases. Resistance increases, naturally resistivity increases. That is, RT is equal to R0 into bracket 1 plus alpha into bracket T minus T0, or alpha is equal to RT minus R0 upon R0 into bracket T minus T0. The RT is the resistance at T degree Celsius and or absolute any temperature you can select, or minus R0 is the resistance at 0 degree, and correct. Alpha is the coefficient of resistance. Units are the same for both. Correct, that is per degree Celsius. Unit of resistance and resistance ohm will be cancelled, and here also that is a per degree Celsius. Now, in the case of the semiconductors, the effects of temperature. Correct. Unlike metals, the resistivity decreases with the rise in temperature. In the case of metal, resistivity increases with the rise of temperature. Here, temperature increases, resistivity decreases, that is, conductivity increases. Rho also decreases when impurities atoms are added. Again, the resistivity of the semiconductor decreases when temperature increases. Another point is it increases when impurity atoms are added to the pure semiconductors. That is, impurity atoms. Generally, we use germanium and silicon, that is Ge and Si, as a semiconductor for making electronic device parts, and in which we add the impurity atoms from the third and the or either third or fourth group, because germanium and silicon, they have got 4 valency, So they share the 4 valence electron with the 4 neighboring impurity atom, and one impurity atom either will have the surplus electron or deficiency in electron. If the impurity atoms like aluminum or boron are from the third groups are added to the pure germanium tetravalent, then the aluminum atoms will be occupy the central position, will share the 3 valence electrons with the 3 neighboring germanium atoms, and it has one less electrons deficiency, and it becomes a impure or extinguishing semiconductor, and that is called the p-type semiconductor. We will see in the electronics device chapter. Similarly, if the pentavalent atoms from the fifth group, that is phosphorus, are added to the pure germanium tetravalent, then phosphorus atom shares its 4 valence electron with the 4 neighboring germanium, and it has one surplus electrons, that is it donates electron, and the resultant crystal is said to be n-type or donor type semiconductors. Later, same as in the case of the semiconductor, the resistivity decreases with the increase in the temperature. The graphs, in the case of the metals, this is the graph in the case of the copper. Resistivity against the temperature, resistivity ρT of copper as a function of temperature. This graph for copper you can see, correct. The resistivity increases with the rise of temperature. In the case of the alloy like nichrome, costernite or manganese, correct. This graph is here, you can see the resistivity increases but not much more, correct. So these are the wires used for making standard resistors. Then in the case of the semiconductor, this is a graph for the semiconductor. You can see ρ decreases, here increases with the rise of temperature, here also increases but little, not much more. Here decreases, in the case of semiconductor, the resistivity decreases with the rise of temperature. Example number 3.1, page number 99. Estimate the average dip velocity Vd of a conduction electron in a copper wire of cross sectional area A, that is equal to 10 raised to power minus 7 meter square, carrying a current of 1.5 ampere. Assume that each copper atom contains roughly 1 electron. That is, one atom contains 1 free electrons for conduction of current. The density of copper is 9 into 10 raised to 3 kg per meter cube, and its atomic mass is 63.5 atomic mass unit. B. Compare the drift speed obtained above with the number 1, thermal speed of copper atoms at ordinary temperature, that is room temperature, and number 2, speed of propagation of electric field E along the conductor, which causes the drift motion. Now number 1, that is E, that we know density of copper is given, that is 9 into 10 raised to 3 kg per meter cube, that is equal to 9 into 10 raised to 6 gram, convert kg into gram by multiply 1000 gram per meter cube, because we want the number of electrons in a 1 meter cube, that is electron density, number density, correct. In 63.5 gram copper, the number of copper atoms is equal to the Avogadro number 6 into 10 raised to 23 atoms. So in a 9 into 10 raised to 6 gram copper, the number of atoms n is equal to 6 into 10 raised to 23 upon 63.5 multiplied by 9 into 10 raised to 6, that is weight, that is equal to 8.5 into 10 raised to power 28 atoms per meter cube. So 1 electron is per 1 atom, so number of electron will be 8.5 into 10 raised to 28 per meter cube for conduction, correct. Now we know current I is connected with the number density of electrons, electronic charge, area of the cross section of the conductor, and drift velocity of electrons Vd, that is I is equal to NEA Vd. Therefore Vd is equal to I upon NEA. That Vd is equal to I, current is 1.5 ampere, and we have already calculated 8.5 into 10 raised to power 28 electronic charge, we know 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb, and area of the cross section, that is already given 10 raised to power minus 7 meter square. Therefore Vd is equal to 1.1 into 10 raised to power minus 3 meter per second, that is equal to 1.1 millimeter. Also you can write, convert meter into millimeter, correct. Now second answer, compare the speed with the thermal speed of copper atom. Correct? Thermal speed we can give from the equation of the kinetic theory of matter, that is half mv square, or v is the RMS root mean square velocity of atoms of copper. That is 3 by 2 kBt. Kb is the Boltzmann constant. Kb is equal to gas constant R upon Avogadro number n. Therefore, mv square is equal to half of 2 cut, that is 3 kBt. Therefore, Vrms square is equal to 3 kBt upon m you take on the right side. Correct. Now, ordinary temperature C 27 degree, that is convert into absolute temperature, that is 270 plus 27, that is 300 degree Kelvin. Mass of the atom, copper atom, that is 63.5 upon, in 63 gram this many atoms. So, mass of one atom will be 63.5 upon 6 into 10 to 23 gram. That is convert into kg, that is by multiplying minus 3. Therefore, kb Vrms is equal to under root 3 kBt upon m. Now, kb is equal to 1.38 into 10 raised to minus 23, that is kb r upon n. R is 8.1 gas constant upon Avogadro number, that will come about, and Avogadro number is 6 into 10 raised to power 23, that will ratio will be 1.38 into 10 raised to minus 23. Temperature, that is room temperature, what is the temperature? That is 300 degree Kelvin. So, Vrms is equal to under root 3 into kb, that is 1.38 into 10 raised to minus 23 into temperature T, that is 300, correct, upon m, mass 63.5 into 10 raised to minus 3 upon 6, that is it will go up, so 6 into power 22. Therefore, Vrms is equal to 342.57 meter per second. Now, Vd drift velocity already calculated, that is 1.1 millimeter per second, that is 1.1 into 10 raised to power minus 3 meter per second square. Take the ratio Vd upon Vrms is equal to 1.1 into 10 raised to power minus 3 upon this Vrms 342.57 meter per second. Therefore, ratio Vd upon Vrms is equal to 3.21 into 10 raised to power minus 6. You can consider that the how less is the Vd. Vd is this or the order of 10 raised to power minus 6 than that of the velocity, RMS velocity, that is the velocity with which the atoms of copper vibrates at room temperature in the conductor. Now, number 2, the Vd of electrons upon speed of propagation of electric field. Electric field moves at the speed of light, that is 3 lakhs kilometer or 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second, correct. So, Vd upon V electric field, so that is 1.1 into 10 raised to power minus 3 meter per second upon 3 into this is the speed of light, that is the speed of electric field 10 raised to power 8 meter per second. That comes about roughly equal to 3 into 10 raised to power minus 12. So, this is also you can come. Example 3.2, page number 700, number 1. A. The electron drift speed is about 1.1 millimeter or 2 millimeter per second. For the current in the range of a few ampere, how then is current established almost the instant a circuit is closed? Answer. The electric field is established throughout the circuit almost instantly with the speed of light, that is 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. The electric field, the electric impulse is moves at the speed of light, that is 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. As soon as the circuit is closed, that is key is closed, the current flows in the circuit, causing at every point a local electron drift. Establishment of current does not have to wait for the electrons from one end of the conductor traveling to the other end. The electrons will have to not move from one end to the other end. They move in the opposite direction, that of the electric field. Electric field is as shown in the direction. The electrons will move in the opposite direction. So, it has to not wait till the electron moves from this end to this end. But moment it starts the drifting, the current starts flowing in the circuit, and it starts drifting as soon as the electric impulse is established. Number 2, the electrons drift arises due to the force experienced by electrons in the electric field inside the conductor. But the force should cause an acceleration. We know that according to the second law of Newton, the force can cause an acceleration. Why then do the electrons acquire a steady average drift speed? The electrons experience the electric force that is given by the E. Now, we know that acceleration will be minus E upon m. Then why the electron moves with a steady speed? Because while moving the electrons, while drifting the electrons in the conductor, as soon as the electric field is applied, they start drifting, and while drifting, they are passing through the dense solid material, that is, there are ions, positive ions, correct, and electrons in the metals. When electrons leave the atom, the remaining atom becomes positively charged. So, they positively charged, they are heavier, so they move slowly, almost we can consider them as a stationary. Electrons are light, so they experience more acceleration, E upon m, m is more, less, so acceleration is more. For the positive charge atom, m is more, so acceleration very less, almost 0 we can consider. So, electron while moving, they collide with the atoms, they share their velocities while collision, correct. So, the answer is each free electrons does accelerate, increasing its drift speed. So, its drift speed increases, correct, when it experiences acceleration E upon m. But when it collides with the positive ions, then its velocity decreases, it shares the velocity, it increases the velocity of the positive ion, and similarly the velocity of the electrons decreases, correct. Again it moves because there is a constant force, so it moves with the acceleration, it gains a velocity, but gain velocity is lost in the collision with the positive ions. Thus it moves with the constant drift speed in the direction opposite to the electric field. That is, each free electron does accelerate, increases its drift speed until it collides with the positive ions of the metal. It loses its drift speed after collision, but starts again it accelerates and increases its drift speed. Again it loses, again only to suffer a collision again and so on. On the average, therefore, the electrons acquire only the drift speed, the drift constant speed Vd. Number 3, C. If the electron drift speed is so small and the electron charge is small, how can we still obtain the large amount of current in a conductor? Because the number of electrons, the electron density is very high, of the order of 10 to 22 to 10 per centimeter cube or 10 to 28 per meter cube, correct. So, if these are the number of atoms per centimeter cube in a copper, and if there is a 1 free electron per atom, then number of free electrons will be equal to the number of atoms in a cubic centimeter, that is 10 to 22, or in a meter cube 10 to 28. So, number density n in a solid or in a conductor will be 10 to 22 or 28. If we take the centimeter cube, then charge q flowing in the through the 1 centimeter cube is equal to Ne. So, n is 10 to 22 into electronic charge 1.6 into 10 to minus 19 coulomb. So, this many coulombs will flow through the conductor. D. When electrons drift in a metal from lower to higher potentials, does it mean that all the free electrons of the metals are moving in the same direction? Answer is by no means. The drift velocity is superposed over the large random velocities of electrons. Next, are the paths of electrons straight line between successive collisions with the positive ions of the metal in the correct in the absence of E field or in the presence of electric field. Let us see the path of electrons in the presence of electric field and in the absence of the electric field. We will see first in the absence of electric field. In the absence of electric field, the paths are straight line. In the presence of electric field, they are slightly curved. Example number 3.3. Electric toaster uses nichrome for its heating element. When negligible small current passes through it, its resistance is at room temperature 27 degree is found to be 75.3 ohms. When toaster is connected to a 230 volt supply, the current settles after a few seconds to a steady value of 2.68 ampere. What is the steady temperature of the nichrome element? alpha for nichrome is, that is temperature coefficient of nichrome is alpha, and that is equal to 1.7 into 10 raised to minus 4 per degree Celsius. The steady current is 2.68 and voltage supply is 230 volts. So, resistance when it is hot is given by the equation volts upon current. R is equal to V upon I, that is 230 upon 2.68 ampere, and that is equal to 85.8 ohm. Now, R1 resistance is given when negligible current is passed, that is 75.3 ohms. But when strong current is passed, the resistance changes due to heating, temperature changes. So, alpha temperature coefficient of resistor is or conductor is given by alpha is equal to R2 minus R1 upon R1 into bracket T2 minus T1. So, T2 minus T1 is equal to R2 minus R1 upon alpha into R1. R1 is 75.3 and R2 is 85.8 ohm. Introduce the values, and alpha is already given, alpha is 1.7 into 10 raised to minus 4. So, T2 minus T1 is equal to 85.8 minus 75.3 upon 75.3 into 1.7 into 10 raised to minus 4. That comes about 820 degrees Celsius. Therefore, T2 is equal to 820 plus, take T1 right side. So, 820 plus T1, that is 27, that is equal to T2 is equal to 847. The example 3.4 on page number 105, the resistance of a platinum wire of a platinum resistance thermometer at ice point is 5 ohms and at steam point is 5.23 ohms. When the thermometer is inserted in a hot bath, the resistance of the platinum wire is 5.795 ohm. Calculate the temperature of the bath. We know that the temperature coefficient of resistance alpha is given by the equation R100 minus R0 upon R0 into 100 minus 0, correct. Again, the alpha is equal to, for the second load, the RT minus R0 upon R0 into bracket T minus 0. Dividing 2 by 1, we get RT minus R0 upon R0 into T minus 0, that T upon this one, that is R100 minus R0 upon R0 into 100, R0 cut, that is equal to RT minus R0 into 100 will be up, that is multiplied 100 upon R100 minus R0, and that is equal to T. T take on this side. Therefore, T is equal to RT minus R0 upon R100 minus R0 into 100. Therefore, T is equal to 5.975 minus 5, the RT is 5.795, R0 is 5 upon R100, that is 5.23 minus R0 again 5 multiplied by 100. Therefore, T is equal to, this comes about 345.65 degrees Celsius. Now, power dissipation, that is power wasted in a conductor during the transmission. In a conductor, the charge carriers do not move with the acceleration but with a steady drift velocity Vd. This is because of the collision with atoms and ions. During the motion, they collide with the neutral atoms and the ions, positive ions. During the collision, the energy gained by the charges is shared with the atoms. The atoms that gains the energy and they vibrate with the more amplitude, that is vibrate with the more vigorously. As a result, the conductor is heated up. The power dissipated now. Thus, there is a loss in the power or charge or energy due to the heating effect. Let us see the power dissipated in the transmission line. Energy dissipated or wasted or lost per unit time is called the power dissipated. The power dissipated is equal to energy dissipated per time. That energy lost per unit time is called power. The power is equal to energy or work done delta W. If the energy loss is delta W in delta T time, the power loss is equal to energy loss or power upon time, delta W upon delta T. That is equal to IV, current into potential difference into time upon delta T, that is equal to IV, delta T will be cancelled. Therefore, power is equal to IV or is equal to I square R. From the Ohm's law we can write, correct, R is equal to V upon I. So, V is equal to Ri, and that is equal to V square upon R also we can write. I is equal to V upon R. So I square is equal to V square upon R. So V square upon R square into R, that is V square upon R. This is a power. Power can be written as three ways, that is IV, or it is equal to I square R, or it is equal to V square R. All are the same equations. Power transmission. Electric power stations are generally situated in a remote area, that is jungle area, where generating power stations are installed at the dam site. This power is transmitted to the users, that is in city areas and village areas like industries or residential homes, which are often situated at a distance of hundreds of kilometers from the power station, because power station is situated in the jungle area or remote place. This is done by the transmission line wires, which consist of two parallel wires or cables we call, and there is a loss of power during the transmission. There is a lot of power loss during the transmission because it is a very long line. How to minimize the power loss? To minimize the power loss in the transmission cables or line wires connecting the power station to the home or factories situated in cities and villages, the power is transmitted at a high voltage, low current by using a device so called step-up transformer. Correct? Consider a device R to which a power P is to be delivered via transmission cables having the resistance say RC. If V is the voltage across R and I be the current through it, then the power is equal to V into I. Let RC and the PC be the resistance of the transmission line wires and the power dissipated, power wasted. These are RC is the resistance of the line wire. These are the line wires shown, transmission line wires. And PC be the power dissipated. Power dissipated, that is due to the heating effect. There is a loss of power PC in the line. The line is very long, hundreds of kilometers. So power loss or dissipated or wasted is equal to I square RC. Therefore PC, the power loss is equal to I square RC, but the power is equal to V into I, or I is equal to P upon V. Therefore I square is equal to P square upon V square. Correct? So introduce this value in the equation. So PC is equal to I square is equal to P square upon V square into RC. P square upon V square into RC. This is a power loss. Correct? So power loss is directly proportional to RC. So we can reduce the RC by using a thicker wire. That is not possible, or it is not economic, because thicker wire they need more support and they increase the cost of installation of plant or transmission line wire. Or PC is inversely proportional to V square. So if we increase the voltage, it is inversely proportional to V. That is, if we increase the voltage and transmit the power, then there will be a great saving of power. The power loss will be minimized. So suppose the 6600 volt power at 6600 volt is transmitted through the line wire. It is transmitted by using the step-up transformer. It increases the voltage, that is 1,32,000 times. This is a step-up transformer. The secondary voltage is very high. Again, these voltages are filled to the another transformer which is at the grid station. The power generated in all stations is collected at the grid station, and then after it is supplied from the grid station to the cities and villages. So again transformer is used to step down voltages. The 1,32,000 is stepped down to 6600 volts. Again it is stepped down to 220 and 440. This is a one phase and this is two phase, which is supplied to the homes. Correct? For industries we use more power at more voltage. That is according to the transformer use we do it.